In a world where machines are replacing minds and data decides your destiny, what happens when humanity goes 404? Human not found.
I'm Christopher Uchenwa, best-selling author of AI versus Humanity, The Battle for Human Relevance. And this is your wake-up call. This isn't just another AI podcast.
This is the movement for those who refuse to be replaced. How to stay relevant in the age of AI? The human skills AI can't replace. Spiritual and ethical leadership. Real stories. Real tools. Real talk. Subscribe to the AI versus Humanity 404 podcast. New episodes drop every Sunday starting August 10th. Send us your voice notes. Be part of the revolution. When the system says 404, human not found, we rewrite the code and don't miss out.
Hello, my friends and family. Welcome back to the AI versus Humanity 404 podcast. I am your host, Christopher Uchenwa. #1 best-selling book, AI versus Humanity, The Battle for Human Relevance. I am a keynote speaker and also the founder and CEO of BreezeWave Incorporation. Today, I'm going to be talking about one of the hottest debates in the AI space. And the topic I want to talk on is based on the truth, bias, and the ethics of artificial intelligence. Can we trust AI? When artificial intelligence are trained on biased historical data, can we trust it to give us an unbiased result? Before I delve deeper into it, let me quickly recap on what we did in the last episode. In the last episode, I was talking about what AI can do and what humans can do better, the irreplaceable skills of humans. I talked about human ethics. I talked about human empathy. I talked about human creativity. I talked about human intuition. Those were the value system and the skills that we have as humans that are irreplaceable, that the artificial intelligence don't have. But today, I want to focus on the truth, bias, and ethics of artificial intelligence. Can we trust artificial intelligence? Before I dive in deeper into this episode and discussion, I want to leave you with 3 critical questions, and I want you to reflect on these questions as we go in deeper into the topic I want to talk about. Question number 1. If AI decides who gets loan, who gets hired, or even who goes to jail, can we trust its fairness? Question number 2. When an algorithm recommends news, whose truth is it showing? Question number 3. If AI makes mistake, who is accountable? The developer that developed the AI, or the company that owned the AI, or the human that used that AI to make the mistake? Who should be accountable? Reflect on these 3 questions as we dive in deeper into the topic of the day. That brings me to what I call the black box in AI. Now, what is the black box, you might want to say? The black box is that part of AI that we can't see. It is that part of artificial intelligence that makes up the brain, the transformer of the artificial intelligence. It is made up of complex neural network. The black box of AI simply means a system that you put in an input and it gives you an output in forms of decision, answer, and response, just like ChatGPT. However, can you tell how it arrives at the output it's giving you? Let me dive in deeper into this with examples so that you can understand exactly what I'm talking about. Starting with the financial institution, it's a fact that sometimes you go to the bank for a mortgage, you have a good job, you have a good credit score, and you are applying for a mortgage, and your application comes back as denied. And you can't tell why you're being denied that mortgage. And you ask your advisor, and he tells you, well, that is the system. Now, you are worried. Where is the system? What is the reasoning behind the system denying your application? Is it based on income, which you have? Is it based on your credit score, which you have? A good credit score. So on what basis is the system denying you? Perhaps that is the black box problem of artificial intelligence. The system may be denying you based on a biased, historically trained data. Like, there was a time and period when, as a black person, you can't get mortgage in the United States and in North America. You're not even allowed to buy a house. Perhaps they've trained that system based on such erroneous and discriminatory data. And as you know, artificial intelligence functions based on the data it was trained with. And the value of the person who trained the artificial intelligence. Perhaps that is why you were denied the mortgage that you were supposed to be given. In the health sector, for example, in UK, the doctors ran a particular test using an AI. And the AI was able to predict kidney failure within 48 hours before it happened. And the result was accurate. But the doctors could not tell the reasoning behind it. They could not ascertain how the artificial intelligence system arrived at the decision. These are doctors with over 20, 30, 40 years of experience. Was it based on any biological or physiological pattern? Was it based on the physical attributes or history of the client, of that particular patient? They couldn't tell. That leaves us with the question, would you trust an intelligent machine that could predict your health status without you having a clear understanding of how it arrived at its results? That is the black box problem in artificial intelligence. Another example, between 2024 and 2018, Amazon was making use of an artificial intelligence system to hire employees. And because that AI system was trained on an erroneous and discriminatory data, because as at then, you have more of male in the tech industry. So the AI system was trained with those resumes that belongs to the male gender. And they found out that during the hiring process and resume selection process, the artificial intelligence was just discarding any resume that has anything to do with women. It was gender bias. When Amazon found out about that, Amazon had to scrap that system. Why? Because the system has the black box problem in AI. Sometime in Detroit, 2020, I believe, the police was using a facial recognition artificial intelligence system to track a particular criminal offender they wanted to arrest. They ended up arresting a guy by the name Robert Williams wrongly. And they later discovered that he was not the culprit. He was not the criminal they were looking for. But the AI system, the facial recognition system they applied, told them he is the one. Why? Because Robert Williams is a black guy. Talking about justice, there was a time when the United States was using a particular tool called COMPAS to determine judgment on defendants. Now, what this COMPAS was doing was, if you are a black person, it will rate you as a high-risk offender and deny you bail based on the color of your skin. But if you're a white person, even when you are a second offender, it will rate you as low risk. Why is that so? This is because that system was trained with erroneous data, biased data that has qualified a particular minority of people as high risk in committing crime. A particular guy went to jail. He was not allowed bail. He went to jail because of that. His lawyers couldn't do anything because he was black. But they later found out that this guy did not return back as an offender again, but the system rated him as a high risk. Are we going to rely on artificial intelligence to make decisions that has to do with justice, with freedom. That is the problem, the black box problem in artificial intelligence. That being said, what is the way forward to this problem? What is the way forward? How do we come to a point where we can say we want to be able to trust artificial intelligence to give us an accurate and truthful response and decision? How do we come to that point? This is my proposition as the way forward. 1, transparency. Transparency in the sense that every adopter of artificial intelligence should ensure that they have what is called explainable AI. Explainable AI is the AI that gives you the reason why this artificial intelligence is giving you this result, this response, this decision. You'll be able to explain it. Transparency is very key. A second way forward for us as humans to be able to trust artificial intelligence is fairness and bias audit. Just the same way you have auditors, financial auditors who coming into a company every year to carry out an annual audit, we need the same regulations for artificial intelligence. We need AI auditors who will come into a company and be able to audit their AI system and confirm and ascertain it as a fair and unbiased AI system. We need it so we can trust artificial intelligence. Another third proposition I'm giving is this: accountability and liability. If artificial intelligence makes a mistake, who is accountable for it? Who should be held accountable in its decision? If humans rely on the decision of artificial intelligence and it makes a mistake and it led to, let's say, for example, the death of somebody in the health sector during diagnosis, or it led to financial loss of an individual, who should be held accountable? Is it the developer that trained the artificial intelligence? Or is it the company that owned the artificial intelligence? Or is it the individual that used the artificial intelligence? I would say, for accountability's sake, the company should be held liable. There should be regulation on that. A regulation should be passed to hold companies liable whenever an artificial intelligence makes a mistake, irrespective of who did the program or who used the program. Like I said before, AI function based on the data it was trained on and the value of the person who developed it. And as humans, we are filled with flaws. And if we transfer our flaws into artificial intelligence, it's going to give us back the flaws in response. Garbage in, garbage out. That has always been the simple analogy of computing system, an algorithm. What you give it is what it gives you back. Now, the fourth recommendation I'm giving for the way forward is global standard and governance. The government, policymakers, should come together and put up an international regulatory standard for artificial intelligence that every company and countries using artificial intelligence should abide to. It shouldn't be on a country-to-country basis or region-to-region basis. No, just like you have the United Nations regulations on standard for climate change, the world should come together and make that same global international standard for AI regulation. I love what EU is doing, the EU Act of 2024. European Union, the European Union Act of 2024 is trying to regulate artificial intelligence. That is fine, but that is European Union. If you regulate it in Europe, some companies that might have some ulterior motives might decide to move out of Europe and go and implement their artificial intelligence in other regions. So how do you control that? How do you regulate it? So this is just beyond a regional solution. It has to be global. It has to be international. The world has to come together to make this regulation and enforce it on everyone that is going to use artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence should be built on ethics. Any company building artificial intelligence should adopt what I call diversity in AI design. Diversity in the sense that you have the company or you have the person who writes the codes, who trained the artificial intelligence, who did the machine learning for the AI. Now you should have like a peer review. Probably some other body or company or institute or consultants come in to assess that particular AI design and give recommendation that it is unbiased. That is what I call the diversity in AI design. It's needed. Artificial intelligence, the sixth recommendation I'm giving is the ethics by design. Artificial intelligence should be designed based on ethics. And when designing that artificial intelligence, there are ethical questions that should come to mind. Who might this system harm? What safeguard can prevent misuse? How do we balance profit versus fairness? Those are ethical questions that should be asked when designing artificial intelligence. Right? And finally, we have the human role as well to play. At the end of the day, AI cannot self-regulate. It has no conscience. There must be human in the loop to guide AI on the right thing to do. That was what my last episode talked more about, human AI collaboration. Because if there is no human in the loop, AI doesn't have a conscience. It gives you what you gave it to do. Right? Now, just to summarize what I talked about in terms of the way forward and how we can get it right so we can trust artificial intelligence. In summary, I would like to say, Transparency. Can we see why it acted? Can we see what happened in the black box, in the black brain of the artificial intelligence? Can we see what happened there? Can we know the reason why the AI made the decision it made or gave the answer it gave? We need to know so we can trust it. Fairness. There should be regular bias check. If AI made a decision like you went to apply for a loan in the bank and you were denied and you know that you checked everything that should make you qualify for the loan, why were you denied? The bank or whoever is responsible for that application shouldn't just accept the result that this man was denied because he checks everything. He has a good job. He has a good income. He has everything. Why was he denied at the end of the day? Because the system said so. No. There should be human input in the loop. Accountability. There should be clear responsibility when the harm occurs. Who are we going to hold accountable? The company that owns the artificial intelligence should be held accountable. Irrespective of who designed and trained the AI or who used the AI, the company should be held liable. Governance, like I said before, there should be a shared global regulations for AI. It's very important. Not regional, because regional will not solve the problem. Companies will leave the region that is highly regulated to regions that don't have regulation or poor regulatory system and establish and still do what they want to do. So it should be a global regulatory standard for artificial intelligence. Right? So that I would like to leave you with a closing reflection. The bias in artificial intelligence is not a side issue. It is a human right issue. If we allow a biased system to make decisions on our behalf, then we have mortgaged our freedom. We have mortgaged justice. We have mortgaged our ability to stand for ethics and values in our system and in our society. That brings us to the end of this topic on truth, bias, and ethics. Can we trust AI? Yes, we can trust AI. As much as we build it with ethics, transparency, and accountability. If you enjoyed this episode, feel free to get back to me, send us a WhatsApp chat or WhatsApp voice note, not more than 60 seconds. Tell us what impacted you most. You can send to our WhatsApp line +1 289 505 5287, and we'll get back to you. We might even play your voice note or invite you to our next section or episode. And if you're an expert and listener and you would want to come in for an interview on our platform, AI versus Humanity 404 podcast, feel free to shoot us a mail to our inbox, info@aiversushumanity.ca, and my team will take a look at it and we'll get back to you. And if you are a business owner and you're looking to implement AI in your company and you are lost, you don't know where to start from, that is what my company does, BreezeWave Incorporation. We help companies and businesses to adopt the right AI for them that will make them more productive and profitable. And we have a 6-step framework approach, AI implementation approach. You can go to our website, www.breezewave.com. Download is for free. Download the 6 steps AI implementation approach and see what we do. We begin by, we come in, we want to have an assessment of what you have, what you're doing, or your current technology stack. And during the assessment, we'll be able to tell you if you are AI future ready, or the areas you need to kick off your AI implementation with. We give you real result. And you see the KPIs and the return on your investment immediately. Because there are thousands of artificial intelligence out there, right? So you need to know which is the best for you. We conduct a workflow analysis of your current business process, and we optimize your current business process and give you a future state business process that will optimize your operational activities and guarantee you productivity and profitability at the end of the implementation. Thank you once again for listening. Please don't forget to follow us on our podcast handles. You can see our podcast, AI versus Humanity 404 podcast, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on YouTube, on Amazon Music, and some other platforms where we distribute our AI. All you need to do, just search on any of these platforms, search with AI versus Humanity 404 podcast, and it will come up. We have several episodes we've talked about, and go listen to them. Thank you once again. See you in the next episode.
In a world driven by artificial intelligence, where speed is prized over soul, and machines are learning faster than humans are evolving, what happens when the system no longer recognizes you? When the screen says, 404, human, not found. I'm Christopher Uchenwa, best-selling author of AI versus Humanity, The Battle for Human Relevance. And this podcast is your wake-up call. We're not just talking AI, we're fighting for our place in the age of machines. Every week, I'll break down what AI means for your job, your family, your identity, and your future. From ethics to intuition, from survival to spiritual awakening, real stories, real tools, real truth. Because while others are being replaced, we're getting repositioned. And while the world panics, we'll evolve.
Subscribe now to the AI versus Humanity 404 podcast. New episodes drop every Sunday starting August 10. Send us your voice feedback on WhatsApp, +1 289 505 5287. Want to be a guest? Reach out. info@aiversushumanity.ca. When the world says 404, human, not found, we rewrite the code.